Introducing and giving an overview of the Caribbean Geospatial Development Initiative. Sorry, can I start over?
Yes, you can start over.
Thanks, sorry.
Okay.
Introducing the Caribbean Geospatial Development Initiative. My name is Michelle Stclair, and I'm a land surveyor with the Lands and Surveys Department of Barbados and a member of the Project Steering Committee of the Caribbean Geospatial Development Initiative, called CARIGEO. Today we'll be going through, I would be introducing CARIGEO, our stakeholders, the past initiatives and where the genesis of CARIGEO comes from, and give you some background on our objectives and scope of works and what are our next steps going forward. So in keeping with the theme of the symposium, let me start by asserting that CARIGEO aims to propel the Caribbean forward and help bridge the geospatial divide by seeking to empower the countries and territories of the Caribbean to advance the greater use and sharing of geospatial and statistical information to support improved decision-making for sustainable national and regional development. The vulnerability of the Caribbean is multidimensional, and as small island developing states, our location, our limited land space, lack of economic diversification leaves us severely exposed to shocks from economic upheavals, natural disasters, climate change, and most recently, the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition to the recent devastation caused by Hurricanes Irma, Maria, Dorian, the sudden outbreak of COVID-19 has caused major social and economic disruption in the Caribbean. Although our vulnerability impacts our government's fiscal space to invest in geospatial information and technology, we acknowledge that geospatial information has a vital role to play as the Caribbean charts a path towards preparedness, resilience, prosperity, and sustainable development, and that CARIGEO initiative represents a collaborative regional vehicle to take us there. Our focus is on engaging the national mapping and statistical agencies of the region. This is a collaborative effort spearheaded by the UN GGIM Americas, UN ECLAC, UN GAGAN, representatives of member states and territories within the Caribbean, academic institutions, private sector organizations, and civil society. I'd like to thank our partners for the hard work done thus far. So, how did we get here? CARIGEO is built on the gains of the Caribbean Project, which sought to promote the development of spatial data infrastructures in the Caribbean. Through technical cooperation, there have been several positive results of the Caribbean Project. These include a strengthened geodetic network in several Caribbean countries, including my own Barbados, through the acquisition of GNSS equipment and servers. Capacity building through workshops on a range of topics, including geospatial standards, GIS, geodetic equipment, and geoportals. Active participation by Caribbean member states in both the regional and international working groups at the UN GGIM sessions. And at the close of the Caribbean Project in 2018, participants expressed a need to keep the forward momentum and ensure the Caribbean region did not regress. So in 2019, October 2019, members of the National Mapping and Statistical Agencies met to discuss the transition to a new initiative and to speak candidly on issues of hardware, software, and storage solutions, and the financing that it takes to keep these running at optimal levels. We also discussed issues of data production, currency and sharing, and the legal frameworks and the political will required to sustain this process. In terms of the major issues identified, one of the overwhelming concerns of the participants was the need to access sustainable funding or multi-agency agreements for financing these geospatial initiatives. They also spoke about issues of governance and the need to update data guidelines and legal frameworks, as well as recognize common practices in formal agreements. So, in the time since the meeting in October, we have established a project steering committee and developed a terms of reference and draft program proposal. CARIGEO has also supported the creation of a Caribbean geoportal managed and maintained by ESRI. This geoportal represents a great example of how we can use the CARIGEO initiative to work with stakeholders to leverage data and technology to bridge the geospatial divide. Our proposed scope of work of CARIGEO has been aligned to the program's objectives. So CARIGEO has also incorporated the internationally accepted frameworks, such as the IGIF, the Global Statistical Geospatial Framework, and the Framework for Disasters, to ensure that they're fit for purpose within the context of the Caribbean. The tracks of work are very much aligned with the strategic pathways of the IGIF. And for this presentation in particular, I would like to highlight Objective 4, which is datasets and tools, to facilitate the availability of datasets, platforms, and data integration processes, as well as leveraging alternative data sources, such as Earth observation. We want to be able to improve our national fundamental datasets, both national and regional. So based on our stakeholder engagement, our work in the project steering committee, what is our expected future? What are the results we want to see? We want a community that, when once formed, remains active, and that our capabilities and our capacities for GIS and data management are improved. We also need increased funding to be able to support those crucial fundamental data sets I mentioned before, and the need to share these data sets broadly and more open. Without development decisions and policy formulation, national legislation and agreements, we know we won't get very far. So we want to make sure that we look at those things carefully and include those in how we move forward. This is the future we want to see. And the proposed management team for CARIGEO program has been drawn from all the relevant stakeholders from the Caribbean countries, from regional and international organizations as well. The committee will identify arrangements and needed resources to implement the projects and ensure proper management of funds, including accounting, financial control, and audit procedures. The steering committee will also assign subcommittees for the project, including finance, administration, public relations, evaluations, and a technical subcommittee. So what are our next steps? We want to ensure we secure funding for our projects and tracks under the CARIGEO program, formalize a commitment for participation amongst the countries of the region, and implement strategies to make sure that when we get to the stage of project implementation, we're all on board, and to make sure that we can monitor and evaluate the project and the program going forward. So we look forward to engaging with our stakeholders to advance and integrate geospatial and statistical information management in the Caribbean. And I'd like to thank you. That's the end of my presentation.